Hello everybody, this is Joey from the Chart Guys. I've been a trader and technical analyst for over 20,000 hours, learning under Dan for a bunch of them, and I'm here to talk about some crypto as we've got bulls out and about today. We are continuing to just see green flags after the daily falling wedge bull break as we scout this monthly higher low, and probably more exciting than what we've got going on with Bitcoin is all of the tightening ranges in the alt space. Got a big old list of EQs, and when those break, we can anticipate volatility. So let's go ahead and we'll start off with Bitcoin and go through the charts, and then we'll check out those EQs and talk about what would be the ideal environment for these EQs to break to the upside. So for starters, getting in here with Bitcoin, we had our daily falling wedge that we were watching as we're looking for a monthly higher low. And as time goes on, it's looking like this is going to be the fastest monthly higher low out of all-time highs in Bitcoin history. Obviously, more work to be done, but bulls just keep seeing what they want to see. So at this point, we now do have a daily uptrend to be watching. That makes 65,852 our key support here, because there is still certainly a reality. Let me turn off the lines here. There is a reality where we get a weekly lower high and need to go through the more traditional trend change metrics of getting your smaller nested time frame on, in this case, if we're talking the monthly higher low we're trying to see shape up, it'd be our smaller nested time frame needs to see its trend change for us to have max confidence. That would be the weekly trend change. That's more of the traditional sense. But because of what happened in the broad market here recently, of just V-shaping up to new highs, ES, NQ, both V-shaped to new highs, definitely keeping my mind open that Bitcoin could do something similar. And essentially, when you have this kind of lack of conviction in the larger time frame most likely scenario, what you do in that case is you lean in on your smaller time frames. So it's just nested time frame once more. So if we're talking about, are we getting a weekly or a bout of weekly consolidation before all-time highs, or are we just going to continue? Well, if we're just going to continue, the daily uptrend is very likely to stay intact. So aggressive bears, aggressive or protective bulls are working off this fresh daily higher low support. The more patient that want to give it a bit more room are going to go with the 2-day uptrend, which is intact, and say that ultimately anything over 60,187 would be a 2-day higher low. So you're not too miffed if we lose the low of today. So as always, we got to ask ourselves, do we want to be aggressive? Do we want to be conservative? Do we want to be protective? Do we want to have a nice long leash? Answer is going to be different for everybody. So no cut and dry, whatever with that. But to take a little bit of a step back, talk about how we got here. We had our falling wedge, lower lows, not seeing follow through. Then we had, I'll go back to the 2-day. We had the potential for this big inverse head and shoulders here. After this bounce, we pull back, we say, all right, we're looking for a right shoulder. Let's see if we can see something that shapes up here. And we had a 12-hour inverse head and shoulders, and everything is just played out nicely. And then now, as we look at this value area that we've been battling, and this is from back in 2021, I'll spare you the time of zooming out to it. But this back test, let's go to the 4-hour. And this was, we were streaming during this. And when you get the clean back test of a key location, it just tells you a bit more of what's going on under the hood. And then we got daily consolidation underway today, losing the 4-hour uptrend. Well, at that point, the question is, are bears going to confirm a 4-hour downtrend, see deeper daily consolidation, or are bulls going to bounce big enough to keep the 4-hour uptrend intact and continue on? We got neither. We just V-shaped to new highs, and as always, we know if we're going to see the less likely scenario, it's very likely to come on increasing volume. You got your increasing 4-hour bull volume, and we went right to new highs. So bulls still will need to confirm a 4-hour uptrend from here because we are not in one at the moment, but anything over 65,857 is going to be a 4-hour higher low, and that's that. Bulls are loving to see it. So we've got an hourly uptrend as our guide for this 4-hour move. We've got 15-minute higher low support. Okay, so we'll work with this and say that in the short term, most important support is 68.1K. As long as that is support, then there's no hourly consolidation fixing to shape up. If that's lost, that'll be hourly consolidation. We'll look to hourly 12 EMA. But bulls just seeing what they want to see. It's You know, the thumbnail, it says Bitcoin red flags. Our thumbnail guy, Toby, he had to leave early this morning, and it's kind of tough to predict where we're going to be, what we're going to be going with. So I said, let's get something nice and ambiguous. We'll do red flags, question mark, and I can either say yes or no. And then that was before the V-shape. And now that we've V-shaped, it's just green flags. It's just green flags. So let's talk about, I guess we'll do ETH. So ETH, still weaker. We did smack talk it into a nice day or two after our last stream. So that was Thursday. We were calling it a fat cow, seeing if we could get it to do something. And it did. It got a nice little bounce. But as we were talking about, just looking for daily lower highs. So what's the next step on ETH BTC to see some sign of life come back into ETH USD? Got to get a daily uptrend from here. So as a result, ETH USD, a couple nice days in there, breaking out of its falling wedge a little more convincingly. But you can see here today, while it is confirming the daily uptrend, it is not with nearly as much conviction as Bitcoin. So that still does make 3,048, the low of today, our key support. And let's see what we've got going on bigger picture. So weekly lower high resistance is 33.56. Can see this playing out a couple ways. Either ETH BTC gets its poop in a group and the space stays strong and we just continue on up on the weekly, or we could get a weekly lower high compared to that 33.56 and then set up a bit of a weekly inverse head and shoulders. That's a potential. And then looking at this, I could see a potential where we get a bit of a different version of a wedge. Say we set the weekly lower high, we come back down below 28.14 and don't see follow through, then we could be looking at a wedge, something like that. So very often you'll have these situations when you get a lower low without follow through, you start to get some bounce underway, and then you're in this tweener spot of, okay, if the bounce doesn't see follow through, then we're looking for wedging. If it does see follow through, then we're looking for that inverse head and shoulders. You'll see that scenario. I mean, almost every time that you get one or the other, there is a moment in there where, based on how things play out, it could be either of those that ends up shaping up. So I don't know. I hope that makes some sense. Hope that makes some sense. So 4 hour, not very clear here on ETH. We can go with the 2 hour. Maybe the hourly is just fine enough. Yeah, we'll stick with the hourly. Keep it a bit more traditional. Lots of room for an hourly high or low. Watching the hourly stair step as bears defend these highs. And again, just kind of tough to give it too much attention until ETH BTC starts doing something. So LTC is trying to break bull from its 3-day tightening range. 84.23 has broken, but not very convincingly at this point. So not a ton to say there. Also another one where it's like tough to put too much effort into LTC when we've got this clear weekly 12 EMA resistance. Bulls tried to get up and through it, but to no avail. And that's that. Let's go look through these EQs, which, by the way, let me pull up our crypto corner here in the chart guys website. Let's get this going. Give me a second. So we've got the crypto corner with a bunch of resources, bunch of stuff in here. Your heat map, your news, your tweets, your all that. And then over here we've got my crypto watch list that you can click that and get the crypto watch list here, and it updates as I update it. So that is pretty cool for all of us to work on together with that. And this morning I revamped it and got us a 2-day EQ category in here. And we'll just flick through quickly. Some of them aren't like quite EQs. And at the top here, we have ADA and Theta because they're trying to break bull from their EQs. Not very convincingly yet. Theta is putting in a nice day trying to go for it. But all of these charts look almost identical. Very tight ranges. FIL, DOT, GMT's kind of more on a falling wedge-ish spot, but still 2-day tightening range. AVAX, MATIC, AAVE, AXS. I mean, these charts are almost indistinguishable. They're so similar. And the beauty when you have this type of correlation between your names is if we start to see these pop, which we already have to a degree, we've seen some of them pop. If we start to see them go, then that will increase the odds that others are going to follow. And the ideal situation would be like a rotational environment where we're seeing a few of them pop a day. And you can just take the trades on the pops, leave some runners, and then rotate into the next ones looking to pop. And if that were to happen, the ideal form of it would be with Bitcoin dominance coming down. So it's still the Bitcoin show. We've got our daily uptrend in the dominance chart. And what alts would love to see is perhaps a weekly lower high. Have that pull back and not be because Bitcoin is leading the way to the downside. Let Bitcoin go up, go sideways, have Bitcoin dominance come down, and then have this whole list of alts just pop their EQs. So let's go back to the 2-day here. So XRP, Mana, Ape, AGIX, CRV, CTSI, Gala, ETC, Mask, Ocean, Sand, and ZEC. So many of these are very similar charts. And as long as the space stays strong, looking for them to pop. So we've had some of our tightening ranges break bull already. We had Sol ended up breaking bull. Our NDR was one of the earlier stage ones, broke bull. Link did end up breaking bull on that news. We were talking about the top fish for the 2-day lower high last stream, and bulls blew right through it on increasing volume. Let's go back to it there. So the whole thing we were talking about, what makes the ideal situation for the top fish? It's running into resistance in extended conditions. And folks who did take that top fish did fine, but you couldn't overstay your welcome, because the next thing that we talked about was, what do bulls want to see if they do want to break this to the upside? And it was healthy 15-minute consolidation, holding the 12 EMA. That's what we got. And then they just ran with that there and are holding the gains impressively. So who else? UNFI. Y'all know that UNFI is a turd in my eyes, but 2-day EQ breaking to the upside. ZRX, 2-day EQ breaking to the upside. Not a ton of follow through at this point. So we have our names that have already broken bull. We have our names that are still in their EQ. We have names that are not, they're not doing anything super special, but worth keeping eyes on. We've got our DEX coins and then our meme coins. And then all these other ones are kind of indiscriminate at the moment. But yeah, go to chartguys.com. Check out that watch list if you want that. Let's see. Let's talk about Pepe while we're here. We potentially have some structural change in Pepe. So daily 12 EMA has been the guide. Now that we've pushed down below that, bears are creating room for a daily lower high compared to 1161 all-time highs. And we'll see, do bears confirm a daily downtrend to get some weekly consolidation underway after being one of our strongest names off of the lows? So watching for that on Pepe. Do got a bit of a structural change. SHIB also is in this 2-day EQ category, though I don't have it placed in there. I've got it with its meme brethren down there. Bonk also in this tightening range. And let's talk about the psychology of these tightening ranges and why I'm so jazzed about them. One, it gets everybody on the same page. There's no room for discretion, really, when you've got a clear equilibrium. You can have a bit of discretion in terms of like, do I think this is going to break bull? Do I think it's going to break bear? And typically it's your larger time frame context, which gives you directional bias within a range. But so you get everybody on the same page. So with that, once you get your break, you have bears covering short. You have bulls going long. Everybody's on the same page. And the tighter you get, the closer your stop can be whether you're bottom fishing or playing the range break. And it just brings in volatility because those coins have been doing nothing for a couple weeks now, few weeks, some of them. And once that breaks, volatility and volume very likely to come back in. And as active traders, what do we need? Volatility and volume for opportunity. So that's pretty much all I'm looking at. Let's look at, we do have some juicy action in the miners today. Mara keeping its daily uptrend intact, seeing continuation of its weekly bounce. And now we are into the situation we were talking about maybe last week, maybe the week before, of potential here for a weekly inverse head and shoulders. So if we form a weekly lower high compared to 24.65, bulls are going to be looking for a weekly higher low, and that's just considering this one move up. We had a little bit of wiggling around in there, but I'm viewing it one move down, one move up, one move down, one move up. Be looking for that inverse head and shoulders from here. So got the daily uptrend as the guide, and it's our lead miner again in the intermediate term. We can see Riot much weaker. You know, Mara is up through the highs of April 24th. Riot, not even close, not even close. And CLSK is our lead bull bigger picture, but cooling off sideways, pretty similar tightening range to the alts, to be honest. And then coin, not sleeping on this falling wedge, as we got a monthly higher low here. Nice day. So crypto, you love to see the miners doing well. A lot of times the miners will clue into stuff ahead of time, but they are looking good. So let's see. Let's talk about our Blue Sky bulls before we move on. And these names, again, these are not in Blue Sky, but they're in proximity to Blue Sky, so we give them extra attention. So Pendle, weekly bounce, and big time percentage off the lows now at this point, 49%. So is this bulls trying for a very quick monthly higher low? You break the stair step like that, bears want to see more follow through. So we did lose our weekly 12 EMA guide, and the big question here now will be, do bears confirm a weekly downtrend to see deeper monthly consolidation, or can bulls bounce over 50% of the move back, which they just now have surpassed today, if I'm not mistaken? Let's go into the daily. Yeah, they've surpassed that today. So what that does is it decreases the odds that bears can confirm a weekly downtrend, and increases the odds that even if we get the weekly lower high compared to all-time highs, that bulls can keep the show on the road. So FET, another one of our 2-day EQ names, low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low, lower high. And FET deserves extra attention because we've got the narrative. It's AI. And we're right by all-time highs. And we are holding the weekly 12 EMA. So is this much different from AIOZ? No, it was boring for a few weeks while we're just basing along this weekly 12 EMA. But then bulls got the breakout, and it doesn't look like a lot here. But percentage-wise, we're talking the move off the lows. That's 71%. 71%. So AIOZ, what's our guide? So just sideways at the highs. We'll stick with daily higher lows. So fresh daily higher low set at 79 cents. Bulls in full control as long as that is the case. If we lose that, that'd be the first sign of some weekly consolidation perhaps. JUP is a 2-day EQ that is breaking bull. Not seeing a ton of follow through, but again, the more coins that break these ranges one way or the other, it will shift the odds that others are going to follow. So we got JUP in the bull break. AIOZ was a tightening range before it broke bull. BNB is another one where we're just tightening on up here. So volatility going to come into BNB at some point here. We could continue to tighten for a while, but with our proximity to all-time highs, definitely worth keeping an eye on to see if we break up or down. And you don't have to be anticipatory. You don't have to get in before and bet that it's a bull break, or get in short and bet that it's a bear break. You can wait for it to break. Wait for it to break and then make your moves. Get in after on a higher low or a lower high. And let's see, ton. So ton, this looks like a cup and handle. So pull back down, double top at all-time highs. If we hold the 3-day 12 EMA, this is a 3-day cup and handle, and bulls will be looking to get back into blue skies there. So what do we got as we scout this higher low? 4-hour 12 EMA resistance. We've now gotten up and over. So the standard EMA ride or play is you ride it down, you ride it down, you ride it down, or up, whatever direction you're going. And then once you get over, you got to get the trend change. And then that signifies like, all right, we've got the shift. So aggressive bulls looking for a 3-day cup and handle are looking for a ton USDT 4-hour higher low. Let's see what RNDR is doing. It looked like it was ready for some weekly consolidation, but this base of support we were talking about last stream held again this morning. Very, very clear line in the sand for bulls at 976. That would need to be broken to see some weekly consolidation. If that doesn't happen, bulls stay strong and keep the show on the road. All right, that's what I'm looking at. Let's see what y'all are looking at. Laka Flocka, instant thumbs up for a Joey stream. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the reminder to remind y'all to hit that like button, please. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. If you hate us, you can leave. George, good afternoon. Howdy, howdy. Karan Bell, hola. Let's see. George wanted to know how Mara was looking. Already talked about that, so that was a apt question. Let's see, Patrick looking at INJ. INJ USDT. It does have some life today. So INJ getting a daily uptrend. I guess we had one there. We'll start zoomed out. So we know we're looking for a monthly higher low. We know we're testing monthly 12 EMA. And if we're going to get a monthly higher low, we're going to need to see a weekly trend change. So this is our weekly bounce getting underway more convincingly. It popped by a nugget a few weeks ago, but we'll call this our weekly bounce now because that very quickly didn't see follow through. So anything below all-time high, 53, is going to be a lower high. You can go almost 100% from here and still get a lower high. It would be like 96, 92. So not going to lose track that a lower high is the most likely scenario, and what bulls want to see is a big enough weekly bounce to create room for a weekly higher low and then try to regain the weekly uptrend. So going to let the daily uptrend be the guide for this weekly bounce. That makes low of today 23.74, key support, and lots of room for a 4-hour higher low compared to that level next consolidation. Nice increasing bull volume, and INJ showing up in the most notable sense since the top. Honestly, we had a very strong bounce off of the lows for sure, but in terms of just like something that isn't just a capitulation snapback, this is the most notable day for INJ, and I imagine our INJ BTC will reflect that, or I know it will. But what do we need to do here? Is it 3-day 12 EMA? Yeah, so we're riding 3-day 12 EMA. It was 2-day, wasn't it? Yeah, we can use 2 or 3. We can use 2 or 3. Typically when it's like kind of both, I'll start with the smaller time frame one and then just know that once that breaks, more proving needs to be done. So we had 2-day 12 EMA. We're now up and over. Some more proving needs to be done, and that's the 3-day now. So same thing we were talking about there with the ton USD 4-hour time frame. It's the same thing on the 3-day INJ BTC time frame. Bulls want to get up and over and then get the trend change. And unless INJ BTC comes to life in some notable sense, then INJ USD is unlikely to see a lot of follow through on that. So looking good there for the first time in a long time. Yeah, Star Pakro, BNB is an absolute beaut. Absolute beaut up at the highs. You know, it's I had been watching it on the weekly high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low. But now as it just gets tighter and tighter, we can like come into the 2-day or the daily. You can probably even get some trend lines going on here to get like an early sign of the break. I mean, that's getting tight. Volatility coming into BNB soon. We'll just see when we break out of this like sideways triangle, is there enough oomph to get through the top or bottom, or do we continue to just like weekly EQ within there? But yeah, can't sleep on BNB. All right, let's check out Ando. Ando had a pretty hard rejection from all-time highs after the break, but bulls are recovering it decent. So we know this was another one of our tightening ranges, and you can just see here what happens when you get these tightening range breaks. You get some good volatility. And even if just taking that trade, you get 15% of high conviction directional direction, if you will. So clear double top with all-time highs, and bulls trying to shape up a healthy daily higher low. So you don't like to see the hard rejection from the highs, but for me personally, I prefer that over breaking to new highs in extended conditions because it's so tough to see follow through. If you break any support or resistance and you're torqued on your any time frame, really, it's what I call an environment ripe for a lack of follow through. So this ultimately is kind of bringing us a bit more of like a cup and handle type psychology, where you've got the multi-tops, and then hopefully a bull flag is what bulls want to see ideally, and then go back up and crack that. And what that does is, if we look at our 4-hour RSI on that break, we would not have seen much follow through, or can't speak in certainties, but I'd say there's a 98% chance that that wouldn't have seen much follow through if we broke all-time highs with 4-hour RSI at 83. But we've come back down, and now we can see a pattern, a roadmap for this daily higher low. It's an inverse head and shoulders. Not the greatest drawing. I might like the 6-hour better here. We'll stick with the 4-hour, but basically I'm not really considering that a 4-hour uptrend. If we break the high of yesterday today, then we will just call it that. But I'm liking the spirit of an inverse head and shoulders here. The left shoulder, the head. If we reject from 97.65, look for a right shoulder, and to confirm, that would be healthy daily higher low set, RSI way cooled off, and then try to crack back into those all-time highs. Let's see, tomato. Hi, Joey. After the Blue Sky breakout, do you check to see if RSI has overbought? Dan ignores RSI in Blue Sky breakouts. What do you think of RSI and Blue Sky breakout? It's, there's context to it. I do not ignore RSI in Blue Sky breakout, but I don't say, oh, we're overbought, this is a reason to be cautious. The metrics of RSI that I care about in Blue Skies are super stacks. So if we see 5, 15, hourly, 4-hour, daily, all overbought at the same time in Blue Skies, that's reason to be cautious. Because that's just not, the main shtick with RSI and Blue Skies is that being overbought in Blue Skies it does not mean the same thing that it does as being overbought in a downtrend on the monthly or something like that. But it's still valuable. And the super stack is valuable, where you have multiple time frames stacking up, and then your historical RSI is valuable always in all contexts, whether you got fundamental stuff or not. Let me see, I gotta take a sip of water. Got a little frog in my throat. Give me a moment. Man, I love water. It's my favorite drink. Love water. JC, hello. Ryan V, new week. Let's crush it. Dan K, no problem. My pleasure. Let's see, Mr. Rowley. SEC, ETH, ETF deadline on Thursday. All right, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what that does. Could bring some volatility in. And as we know, charts will guide the way always. But it's good to know when you got potential incoming volatility due to some fundamental stuff. Let's see, Carlos. Can we take a look at AAV? Yeah, let's dig deeper in. It's another one of our 2-day EQers, so very straightforward with what's going on. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And let's get some context. So we got bulls maybe trying for a quarterly higher low is the larger time frame context. Breaking this 2-day EQ would be the very first step of that potentially shaping up. If we break this EQ to the upside, if we break it all the way, that would be a little weekly uptrend and get a monthly bounce underway, though we'd have to break the high of this month next month, because we still got 11 days left, and to technically get a monthly bounce, you got to break the high of the previous month. And it seems more likely that in June we'd break the high of May than in May breaking the high of April, which is 50% away at this point. That's pretty much that. Not much more to say with the EQ. As we've been talking about with these EQs for a while now, risk to reward favors bears at the highs, risk to reward favors bulls at the lows. Hopefully, if you're interested in these, you've been getting in on some of these bottom fish opportunities. But you don't got to get in on the bottom. You can wait for it to break and say, all right, I'm going to take a entry on the break and scale out pretty quickly to try to keep a healthy average and then walk up a stop. Or you can just wait for the break and then play a back test and go on. So many ways to play this game. Let's see. Someone's Tay Hav should buy Ando now. I can never tell you what to do, sir, because no one knows what to do. And I would never tell anybody something that I don't know. I can say if you're looking to be an aggressive bull, looking for this to be a daily bull flag, then you want this daily 12 EMA to hold, and you would be playing off of the 87-cent low, pretty much. So yeah, there's reason to be interested in Ando, but you gotta manage your risk independently. No one can tell you what to do with that because anything's possible. We could do that. And the second I say, yeah, you should buy, then that's what happens. So yeah, you gotta, if you're looking to actively trade the space, you need to build up the skills to actively trade the space. And if you're in here asking, do I buy now? You probably got more work to put in, brother. All right, let's take a look at FTM, FTB, FTM USDT. So this is another tightening ranger that broke. We can 2-day EQ, and I'll actually add it to the watch list right here. Another tightening range bull break, which shifts the odds. Shifts the odds that others are going to follow. So what do we got here? Let's zoom out. We got bulls fending off monthly consolidation. We have got a weekly uptrend remaining intact. We got resistance at 104.73. We've got a 12-hour we'll use. 12-hour uptrend, daily stair step. Anything over 83.71, going to be a 12-hour high or low. And just going to trust the trend. So nice high volume breakout on this thing. Daily stair step all the way up. We got to have an EMA rider. I guess we'll use the 8. Yeah, we'll stick with the 8. Maybe we'll ditch the 12. We'll go just 8-hour because we have the EMA with it. But yeah, man, it's looking good. I would just trust this trend up. Trust this trend up, not be bamboozled if we get a 2-week lower high compared to the highs of this bounce at 122. Still pretty far away percentage-wise, 31%. A lot of that will probably depend on what the space does, though, and how rotation plays out. Like, do we see these alts pop couple a day and just everybody's rotating their funds through all of them, or do we just have a big green day where everybody goes? And yeah, so that's kind of a little side note. But in terms of FTM, if Bitcoin gets weekly consolidation before all-time highs, then FTM very likely to get a 2-week lower high. If Bitcoin just V-shapes it, then 31% on a altcoin, not a lot to ask for. All right, gonna keep it short and sweet today. Got another obligation coming up here in a half hour. Let's check back in on Bitcoin. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Bitcoin, nothing's changed from where we talked earlier. That 15-minute higher low support going to be key. Once that's lost, that'll be hourly consolidation. And we'll see how far bulls can keep this uptrend intact. Do we V-shape and follow the broad market? Or do we get more traditional weekly trend change? So farewell. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button. Hit the subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you don't like it, you can just not hit the like button as opposed to hitting the dislike button. But you're your own person. You can do whatever you want. The dislikes mess up our metrics for sure, though. Farewell, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy.